Hi everyone, I'm Ron Cantor and you're watching Out of Zion on God TV. We spent the last two episodes at the home of Eliezer ben Yehuda, and we talked about how Hebrew became the modern language because of his sacrifice. Now I want to share with you my story, how at 38 I was able to learn a new language, and to be clear, it was not easy. One of my biggest fears of moving here, in addition to terrorism, as it was at the end of the second intifada, was sitting in a language school for 5 hours a day. I have been clinically diagnosed as ADHD. Sitting still, as the team here can tell you, has never been easy for me. Just graduating high school was a small miracle. Nevertheless, I knew it was God's plan for me to preach His word in Hebrew. As a 21-year-old in Bible school, Dr. Michael Brown, who was also on this network, prophesied over me that I was to learn modern Hebrew. Over the years, I took courses and was fortunate to marry a native Hebrew speaker, but there is nothing like total immersion when it comes to learning a language. The plan was simple: take 2 years off of ministry and focus completely on Hebrew. Shortly after arriving here, I entered Ulpan, the Hebrew language school that you can find in every city. Most immigrants need to find a job quickly, so they get 5 months of free Ulpan and then they're off. However, I wanted to teach in Hebrew, not just order a hamburger. It was going to take quite a bit longer. Each morning I would ride my bike, the happiest guy in the world, from my apartment to my Hebrew classes. Inside the class, we would sit in cliques according to our native tongue. You see, the teacher would only speak Hebrew, and it was up to us to find out what she was saying. You'd have your English-speaking group, about 5 of us in a corner. There'd be the Russian-speaking group, as well as a French and a Spanish-speaking group. Now, this was before iPhones or iPads, where you could have instant translation. I struggled to keep up with the class. They like to throw you in just above your level to see if you can swim. Many people, particularly kids, can catch a language, just pick it up by listening. Not me. I had to learn it word by word. I dropped out of Ulpan for a while to study on my own. I would spend hours conjugating verbs and memorizing nouns. At one point, I simply asked the Lord, "Can't you just download Hebrew into my brain? We're losing time." He actually spoke to me and he said, "Yes, I could do that, but you're learning more than Hebrew. I am teaching you character and humility." It was true. I could stand in front of 100,000 people in Africa and never even think to be nervous before preaching. I could prepare a message on a napkin in 10 minutes. And maybe I was a little haughty about that. So the Lord had just the recipe. He sent me to a country where it would take me not 2 years as I had hoped, but 7 years before I preached my first message in Hebrew. And even then, I almost chickened out at the last minute. Over the years, I met with private tutors. I went through the full university intensive program, about 10 hours a day, including homework. When I finally started teaching in the congregation in Hebrew, it would take me a solid week to prepare. So much for 10 minutes on a napkin. I would preach it to my wife, my daughters, my dog, anyone who would listen. Fortunately, it now only takes about a day. Of course, then there is the accent. I could barely say my own name. The R in Hebrew is very different from the R in English. Instead of Ron, I am Ron. I remember when I first moved here, I would order coffee at one of our popular cafes, Aroma. They always asked for your name. I would say with my best Hebrew accent, Ron. And they would say, "What? Ma?" And I would say, "Ron, ma? Ron, ma? Ron. Ah, Ron." Yeah. So from Eliezer ben Yehuda, the crazy Jew from Lithuania who sought to resurrect Hebrew, to a Messianic Jewish immigrant from the United States, you know a little bit more about how Hebrew became the national language of the modern state of Israel. Make sure you go to God.tv so you never miss an episode.